That's right, grab your nearest packet of last year's hot cocoa, turn on that string of solid white lights, and respect the fact that gingerbread flavored items can only be consumed between Black Friday and New Year's Eve. My shroomies and shroomies are going to be cast aside for this video because we are going Sub-Zero, baby! For this challenge, I can only use Pokemon that are ice types in the main game. Why ice? Because it's December, and the holidays are in full swing. Also, there was that banned Christmas episode of Pokemon with Jynx in it, and ice is my third favorite type. But as all of you smarties know, ice is not a type in the card game. Then what are we even doing here? Well, basically, I'm setting the rule where I can only deal damage with the 5 different Pokemon cards that are the Gen 1 ice types. It'll be something different from the usual solo evolution line that I've been doing, but since this game is old as heck, yeah, there are only 5 options. It would be fun to use some newer ice Pokemon, but that's not the case. Maybe if I move on to the online game in the future, we'll see. So let's check out what these 5 cards can do and set some ground rules and predictions. First of all, I'm setting the rule that I can only have 1 of each ice type in my deck to help give it some added challenge. I won't be loading up on 4 Articuno or anything. Doing this still actually gives me 1 extra Pokemon to use compared to the Paraspectre Sandslash challenges where I was using 4 of those. Secondly, there's the major elephant in the room, and it's my job to address it. So, I know. Dewgong evolves from Seal, and Cloyster evolves from Shelter. Seal and Shelter are not ice types, just pure water. Therefore, I cannot ever deal damage with Seal or Shelter, but they still have to be in the deck. They are simply there to take hits until I can evolve them or buy some time to have them faint. Luckily, the other 3 options are non-evolving ones, so this rule only applies to those 2. So skip to this time in the video if you don't want to hear about the cards and just get to the challenge. But going in Pokédex number order, our first icy friend is Dewgong. Dewgong is a risky one as I'll need at least 3 energies to attack, plus a Seal already out. Dewgong is a water type for the card game, and yes, I have to specify that as they aren't all water types. It has 80 HP, a weakness to lightning, and a mighty 3 retreat cost. For 2 water and a colorless, I can use Aurora Beam, which does a simple 50. For 2 water and 2 colorless, Ice Beam does 30 instead, but can paralyze on a heads coin flip. To be honest, Aurora Beam will probably be more of the go-to option, as 50 damage is a lot for these original cards. Correct me if I'm wrong here, but Chansey and Charizard have the highest HP in the game at 120, and Charizard is weak to water, so the only card I'll ever need to use more than 2 Aurora Beams on is against a Chansey unless they heal or use defenders. Ice Beam will have to be situational and requires more energies, so it's the less ideal option. Dewgong will either end up being one to invest turns and energies into, or there to take hits to buy some time. Next up is our shell buddy Cloyster. Cloyster is also a water type and evolves from Shelter, but this one is a strange one. Cloyster in the main games has a ton of defense but low HP. For some reason they chose to give this Cloyster card very low HP at only 50. That's only 10 better than Paris or Sandshrew, and this is an evolved card. It's just strange that they didn't take its high defense into consideration for its health, since defense is not an attribute in the card game. But alas, this is what we're given. With that said, Cloyster does have its pros though. Cloyster is also weak to lightning and has a 2 retreat cost. For 2 water energies, I can use either of its 2 attacks. Clamp does 30 damage and paralyzes on a heads coin flip, but with a tails flip it does nothing at all. A pure 50-50 shot to do anything. Its other attack is Spike Cannon, which does 30 damage per heads coin flip on 2 flips. Since you're flipping 2 coins instead of 1 here, chances are better that I'll at least do some damage, but Cloyster is ultimately a real wild card. I can easily do nothing at all on my turn and then lose half or all health due to its low 50 HP. But with the option of paralyzing or doing 60 damage, it's more of an all or nothing option, and 2 energies are a cheap investment. Cloyster is still the weak point of the deck though, in my opinion. Next is Jynx, the one very unique card to this challenge that could make or break the deck. Jynx is the only non-water type I'll be using, so factoring in some psychic energies in the deck are a risk in itself. With that said, Jynx will be very important for countering lightning types, as 3 others have a weakness to it. Jynx is a psychic type with 70 HP, a weakness to psychic, and a 2 retreat cost. Psychic was so overpowered in the original main games that they just kinda made up the weakness to Psychic here, since Bug isn't a card type. Psychic is not strong against Psychic in the main game, so it's kinda weird to adapt to that here. But for 1 Psychic energy, Jynx can use Double Slap, which does 10 damage per heads on 2 coin flips. Yet another relying on coin flips like Cloyster. But luckily, Meditate is pretty decent. For 2 Psychic and 1 Colorless, Meditate does 20 damage, plus 10 more for each damage counter on the defending Pokemon. Meditate is weak at first, but becomes a knockout move pretty quick. But because of this, I will only ever need to use 2 total Psychic Energies in the entire deck, so I'll have to find the right amount to put in. This is not counting any revives I may use or energies getting removed. Jynx will be a bit of a risk, being the only Psychic type, but could save entire matches if I'm getting overpowered by some zappy folks. Next is my buddy Lapras, and this is one I've had to fight a lot of my other challenges. Lapras is quite good though, and one of the stars of the deck. Back to being a water type, it has 80 HP, which is great, a weakness to lightning, and a 2 retreat cost. For 1 water energy, I can use Water Gun, which does 10 damage. I can add up to 2 more water energies if I want to cap it off at 30. For 2 water energies, Lapras also has Confuse Ray, which I think is awesome. It only does 10 damage, but confuses on a heads coin flip. Confusion is really annoying in that it can cause the defending Pokemon to not only not attack on their turn, but hit itself for 20 as well. And it stays confused until it faints or leaves play. I still say Poison is the best status effect in this game, but Confusion is really not far behind. Poison always does damage each alternating turn, whereas Confusion technically could do nothing at all if they keep getting lucky coin flips. Lapras is tanky, and I will certainly want to use it as much as possible, and I think it's the best starting card in the deck. And finally, arguably the actual star of the show is the mighty legendary bird itself, Articuno. Yeah, I've constantly been hating on or destroying the legendary bird cards that I keep winning in past challenges, but this time I must embrace that with which I have turned a blind eye to. But here's the thing. The main goal of the game is still to defeat the Grandmasters and Ronald and acquire the legendary cards, which is the very last thing I'll be doing for the challenge. So even still, I will not be using the Sacred Articuno card that Icy Boy Jack throws in his deck. These cards will never be of use to me in these challenges because they come so late in the game, no matter how hard they try or how much clout they slap on them. I do not care about them at all. But with all of that said, there is actually the Fossil Articuno that I will be using, so the Freezy Bird is not a total loss. This Articuno can certainly be a force to be reckoned with though, it just takes a lot to power up. It has 70 HP, which is actually less than both Dewgong and Lapras, but it has no weakness, and it has a resistance to fighting. Oh yes, everybody better buckle up now, for it's my turn to have the last laugh with a resistance to fighting. Bring on all of the Fossil Sandslash cards now that you want. Let me be the one to enjoy watching Fury Swipes try to hit my Articuno. It also has a 2 retreat cost, which means all of my Pokemon will cost at least 2 to take out, except for Dewgong's 3. Also, Seal and Shelter cost only 1 to retreat if need be. But for 3 water energies, Articuno can use Freeze Dry, which does 30 and paralyzes on a heads coin flip. This is the same attack as Dewgong's Ice Beam, except this costs 1 less and only water energies. For 4 water energies, Articuno can use the ultimate attack for this challenge, Blizzard. Blizzard does 50, and with a heads coin flip, all of my opponent's bench Pokemon get hit for 10 each. With Tails, all of mine get hit for 10 each. But since I'm only using 5 total Pokemon in the entire deck, and one of them is Articuno itself, the odds of me having all 4 on the bench getting hit by Blizzard will be extremely low. In fact, I'll predict this won't happen the entire challenge, but we'll see. Basically, 1 or 2 will probably be taking damage if I flip Tails. Honestly though, I don't know how often I'll even be using Blizzard. It takes a lot to power up, but again, we'll see. So that's it for what I'm given. Of course I'll be using my usual favorite trainer cards of Gust of Winds, Bills, and Energy Removals, but this will be my first challenge where I'll have different types in the deck. If you don't count the 1 Snorlax in my Matthew challenge. That was colorless anyway. But Jynx being here makes Energy Search finally a valuable card to have. I'm sure there will be some times where I'll need water energies and draw a psychic one, so I'll do my best there. But this challenge isn't meant to be grueling or too difficult. Just a fun time to enjoy the snowy time of year. At least where I live in the Northeast United States, and to have fun with some actual strong Pokemon cards. So let's get in the spirit and have some fun. This is a very Paraspectre holiday special. So for the first time, I get to debut the customized version of the game sent to me by PurpleSea. Oh yes, my Shroom Boy is the picture with my little Paraspectre logo. Pretty nifty stuff. First thing is getting through the tutorial, and this goes quick using Turbo Speed. Done. And clearly I'm going to take the Squirtle deck. I'll need as many water energies as I can get, although there certainly is the method of destroying these nerd scientists to get them. And heck yeah, check this coolness out. This deck straight up gives me a Seal, a Dewgong, and a Lapras. I'm almost halfway there already. So after solving for x, carrying the 1, and squaring the radius with pi, I've concluded that I will only need to fight 2 trainers to obtain the other cards. I will only be needing mystery packs and evolution packs. Ideally, I will want to prey on some fire folks, but let me just see here and yes, I knew it. The Pokemon Trading Card Game has given me its gift early in a professionally wrapped gift with a pretty bow. My best friend Matthew gives out those trusty mystery packs. Of course he does. The holidays truly are a special time, aren't they? And oh man, that felt good to take packs from Matthew again. His retainer fell to the floor so fast on this day. He can no longer afford gifts for his family because I'm his financial advisor now. Once I got everything I needed from Matthew and Fire Member John, here's my starting deck until I can get more or better trainer cards. This deck is way too energy heavy right now. So per tradition, let's start with the easiest club first and plow our way through the Fire Club, snuffing torches faster than Jeff Probst. It's time, Ken. Your day has come for... Wait, what? I need more cards. Yeah, apparently you need to have 130 cards before he'll battle you. What sort of TCG2 type nonsense is this? A deck requirement in the first game? Is he afraid of losing to someone with a few cards? So anyway, let's just go annihilate the Rock Club first. Gene is usually pretty easy. So it starts with my Seal against his Rhyhorn, and remember that I cannot attack with Seal. This isn't the worst though, as Rhyhorn needs 3 energies to attack, and using Leer does nothing for him anyway since I'm not even attacking. But I need to get more Pokemon quick or else this is a no-go. Gene also gets a couple Diglett, so I just gotta keep stalling as much as I can. I remove an energy from Rhyhorn to help a little bit and keep adding energies to Seal because, well, why not? But all I'm drawing are energy cards, which is to be expected. But then, as luck would have it, I actually draw my Dewgong next. I'll be playing Sleigh Bells every time a miracle like that happens. Dewgong goes absolutely insane on his Rhyhorn, Aurora beaming it for a mighty 50. But then Gene gets a powered up Dugtrio. Yeah, that complicates things a bit. If I knock out Rhyhorn here, Dugtrio can blast me for 70 with Earthquake, and that's no good. All I have left is a mysterious fossil, so if I lose Dewgong, it's practically over. So we start to do the standstill thing. I'm not attacking and he's not doing anything with his Rhyhorn half in the grave. But I get a successful Pokeball, so of course I go for Articuno first. I have all these energies for it. Gene is now swimming in Diglets, so once I feel comfortable enough with potentially losing Dewgong, I go for the kill. Rhyhorn was sent to the afterlife on this day. Dugtrio comes in, of course, and he uses Slash instead of Earthquake. This does make sense, as he needs 2 hits to knock out Dewgong anyway, and Earthquake hurts his own bench. But this is where the wheels start turning for me too. There I was, hating on Ice Beam in my Dewgong description, when really it absolutely makes sense here for me to use Ice Beam instead of Aurora Beam. Like with his Dugtrio situation, I also need 2 hits to knock out Dugtrio with either attack. Ice Beam could paralyze it, and it does. All 3 Diglets that make up his Dugtrio lost all feeling in their muscles. Gene uses a Super Potion, but I do the same thing again. Boom! Paralyzed your moles, bro. I also draw a Lapras, so I'm in great shape. But as it turns out, I don't need any of them. After Aurora beaming Dugtrio with the chill of Homer, Alaska, Dewgong runs the table on his other Diglett and Geodude, giving me the Rock Medal. Well, that was an easy start. These icy friends hit hard if I'm able to get them powered up in time. I probably won't be winning too many matches quick, but I have a feeling I won't be losing that many either. Simply a prediction though. Let's move on. So since I'm still not able to smoke the Fire Club, I'll hit up the Water Club next. This is one where you must fight all of the Lackey Trainers first, but that was easy. On to Amy. I start with both a Seal and Shelter, the only 2 I can attack with, so not a great start. I go with Seal since it has more HP. Amy opens with a Lapras, so not good, not bad. I fail with a Pokeball, but I eventually get a Professor Oak to use. This surly man gives me a Lapras, a Jynx, and a Dewgong. Generous as heck. I get to work on powering up Seal to use Dewgong. Her Lapras goes down in 2 hits, and luckily I avoid confusion from Confuse Ray. Goldeen is another easy one-shot, so all she has left is a Horsey, who I can also take down in 1 hit. Except this is Horsey with a god-awful smokescreen attack, so that's easier said than done. She plays a Squirtle, and I proceed to start shooting my Aurora Beam in all directions, completely missing this stupid Seahorse. If I were to make a top 5 list of least favorite cards to fight against, you better believe Horsey and Magmar would be on there, just because they're so annoying. Then she plays a new Horsey, just to really emphasize the awfulness, and I cannot hit this one. Then she plays another Goldeen, which isn't a big deal, but my Dewgong is almost floating to the top of the sea. I have a Pokemon Center in my hand, which heals all of my injured Pokemon, but removes their energies in the process. So I make the executive decision to retreat Dewgong to use that, clearing out all of its energies. In comes Jynx with Meditate on the ready. Where's your smoke shield now, horsey? You just got meditated. Amy evolves her Squirtle into Wartortle and she continues on with the smokescreen dance. But Jynx said, oh noes, my vision is better than Dewgong's. Your time has come, horsey. You are dead. Amy brings in Wartortle, who fails with a withdraw, a move that also prevents damage. So I have Jynx meditate all over it. Wartortle then gets a successful withdraw, so I take this opportunity to debut this card I found called Gust of Wind. Gust of Wind allows me to choose which of their Pokemon to bring in automatically. This card may come in handy in the future. Jynx meditates onto her other horsey's face, 20 HP left, but then she evolves Wartortle into Blastoise. Oh. Blastoise has the Pokemon power of Rain Dance, which allows her to attach as many water energies as she wants to any of her water Pokemon. That's a great ability. She also evolves Goldeen into Seaking. When did this get out of hand all of a sudden? I was one turn away from winning in the beginning. So I make sure my Dewgong and Lapras are ready and take out her horsey. 2 prizes left. In comes Seaking and she heals her Blastoise. She keeps using Horn Attack with Seaking, so I'm only getting hit for 10 each turn. But my Jynx is hurting. Seaking is down to 10, so I use a big brain move and switch Jynx for a fresh Lapras, as it'll be able to take a hit from Blastoise. Seaking goes fins down. In comes Horsey, I guess? But she instantly evolves it into Seadra, which I believe is the first one I've seen throughout all of my challenges. Seadra has Water Gun, which works the same as it always does, but also Agility, a move that does 20 damage and of course can prevent damage. I go for Confuse Ray, no dice. She goes for Agility, no dice. Now, what I could have done here is retreat for Dewgong and 1 with Aurora Beam, but of course I didn't think of that. She retreats Seadra for Blastoise, so here we go. She uses a Professor Oak and takes full advantage of Rain Dance, spraying water all over her team. Blastoise also has Hydro Pump, which works the same as Water Gun, except its base damage is 40. Boom! Lapras gets the Fire Hose. I bring in Dewgong and slam Blastoise for 50. Now here's where she does something stupid. She uses an energy removal to remove an energy from Dewgong. That makes sense. Then she uses a super energy removal to remove 2 energies, and she chooses Jynx? Okay. So I just slap another water onto Dewgong and end Blastoise from existence to win, giving me the water medal. I feel like Amy lost that one there. I didn't necessarily win. But, alright. Hey, at least I got to see more of my team in this one. I only haven't used Cloyster yet. So let's go see if I can fight the Fire Club next, and I always forget about Ronald. It's like an annoying jump scare. Just go away. So I'm finally worthy enough to fight the mighty Lord of Fire, Ken. Except if you remember right, Ken actually barely uses fire Pokemon. So it starts with my Seal against his Tauros, but I do have a computer search in my hand, which is honestly a pretty cheap card. I can discard any 2 cards to search for 1. So of course I'm going to get a Dewgong. I get a Lapras for some insurance, but to be honest, Dewgong kinda ran the table on him. 2 Tauros, 2 Growlithe, a Wigglytuff, and a Magmar. Not too much to say about it. Dewgong is crazy good. So, Fire Medal obtained, on to the next one. There's gotta be at least one that I don't win on the first try, right? Maybe the Lightning Club, as that could be tough. But first, time to fight the old grassy ladies. I did lose once when I only drew a Shelter, but the rest were easy. Time for Nikki. I start with just an Articuno, which is honestly not a great starting card, as I need 3 energies to even do anything. But, well, like last time, this was also a pretty uneventful battle. I did get 3 energies and then 4, so Articuno ended up freezing her plants to death. It is hard to stop Articuno once you can get it going. Grass Medal obtained. Let's hit up the Science Club next with my old friend Grandpa Rick. But first, his bodyguard Joseph. Yes, this guy is his bodyguard. Once he gets easily disposed, it's Science Master Rick. And yikes, this one was almost exactly the same as the Grass Club. I started with an Articuno who also ran the table, so again, not too much to say. You know, I didn't expect the Ice Challenge to be this easy. I'm hoping they start to get a little more interesting here soon. Let's conquer the Fighting Club next and leave the Psychic and Lightning Club for the end. They could be small challenges. So I tracked down the 3 Fighting Club members to take on Mitch, not a problem. But hey, here's a first for this challenge, at least in terms of the club leaders. I finally lost. Yeah, my Lapras was no match for his Hitmonchan. Hitmonchan's jab is too good for a turn 1 Pokemon. This certainly isn't my first loss, as I've had a few against Lackey trainers, like when I only drew Shelter for instance, and can't attack with it. But yeah, Mitch bested me. Attempt number 2. This time though, yeah, I'm starting to realize just how good Articuno really is. I draw an Articuno and I honestly thought it would be a bit more difficult to get enough energies in time to do anything with it. But then again, this is the Fighting Club, and Articuno resists fighting, so really it was no match for his army of Hitmonlee and Hitmonchan. And yet again, there's not too much to say about it here. Articuno is boss. But okay, let's hit up the Psychic Club next before taking on the Lightning Club, which could take a few tries. At least with the Psychic Club, I mean, Jynx has a weakness to Psychic, but Jynx is also super effective against Psychic, so let's see how it goes. The Murray match starts with my Lapras against his tanky Chansey. Chansey is a beast with 120 HP, so at least this won't be a cakewalk. I have a Dewgong and Cloyster in my hand, but those are useless for now until I get Seal or Shelter. I also get a Jynx, so I'm looking okay. I begin spraying water all over Chansey's face with my Super Soaker. Here's where Murray starts to build an Abra army. Abra itself is weak at only 30 HP, but it can paralyze, and of course become Alakazam, so it's not necessarily a good thing. But eventually, Chansey goes down, as it needs 4 energies to even attack. Murray now has 3 total Abra, who begin to paralyze my icy monster with Psyshock. But then Murray actually uses my own weapon against me, a Gust of Wind, to bring in Jynx, as Abra can hit her for double. Abra paralyzes my Jynx, and then Murray slaps down a Kangaskhan. Now you know I'm going to win. But I actually draw a Shelter, so maybe I'll finally get to debut Cloyster. I'm only 6 medals into the challenge so far, and have yet to ever use it once. I heal Jynx and start to double slap Abra, although I'm only getting single slaps. Murray retreats Abra for Abra and paralyzes Jynx again. Next time around I go for the double slap, also becoming a single slap. He retreats for Kangaskhan with 1 energy on it. Okay Murray, you go for it. My next turn I draw Articuno, so a win is all but certain for me now. I get the double slap on Kangaskhan, completely forgetting that it has a resistance to Psychic. Yeah, I'm not used to using any Psychic cards. But you know what that means. It's time to unleash Cloyster. Let's see what it can do. Cloyster goes ballistic on Kangaskhan, blasting it for 60 with Spike Cannon, then 60 more on the next turn. Boom! I will not be winning by decking him this time. Kangaskhan felt so many spikes on this day that I almost feel bad for it. But here we go again with Baby Abra paralyzing my friends. But then Cloyster goes 2 for 2 again, slamming spikes into Abra for 60. Man, Cloyster's a beast too. 3 prizes left. Here's where it gets a little tricky though. Murray starts slapping some Mr. Mimes down, and as we all know, Mr. Mime has the invisible wall Pokemon power, which means it can only be hit for 20 or less. And yes, unless it's asleep, confused, etc. I honestly don't have too many options for dealing with Mr. Mime though. Dewgong, Cloyster, and Articuno can't even hit it. Jynx may or may not hit it if I get 2 hits from Double Slap, so that leaves Lapras as my go-to. And luckily for me, I already have one with 3 energies on it. So Confuse Ray it is, and both of his Mr. Mime never do any damage. Lapras ends up taking out another Kangaskhan and then his injured Abra, giving me the Psychic Medal. Well, that was still easy, but at least it was more interesting with some challenge. Only the Lightning Club remains until we approach the endgame already. I predict I'll win the Lightning Club in 3 attempts. Let's see how it goes. Although the Lackey Trainers weren't difficult. I did lose once from yet again only drawing a Shelter. Time for Isaac, my arch nemesis from the Sandies challenge. I start with a Seal and a Jynx, but no Psychic energies, so for now it's 2 that I can't even attack with. I go with Seal though. Isaac kicks it off with a Kangaskhan. Now, I'm no statistician, but I now have a feeling that I'm going to win just because of this, because it's almost always what happens. Let's see. I do have an energy search though, so I gank that Psychic energy to get things going, although Kangaskhan resists Jynx. So I just keep stalling for time, adding energies to Seal just in case, as he's building a Magnemite bench, one becoming a Magneton. I'm also absolutely loaded with Gusties, with 3 of them in my hand. Then Isaac gets an Electrode, so I gotta do something fast or they're gonna wipe out my water types. Isaac then uses a switch to bring in Electrode to do an instant 30 with Sonic Boom. Seal is half gone. I have some options here though. Gust of Winds or Retreat for Jynx. I go for the Retreat option and begin to center myself with Meditate all up on Electrode. We hit each other, I heal and get Electrode down to 10. He retreats for Kangaskhan, who I now can't hit. So I unleash a Gusty to start demagnetizing his Magneton. He does nothing, so boom, Magneton down. In comes Kangaskhan again, so I go for the second Gusty to knock out Electrode. It's funny that I'm using Gust of Winds on Kangaskhan rather than using them to keep it in battle. I knock out Electrode, in comes Kangaskhan. Should I do it again? Of course I should. It's time to get rid of Electabuzz. I get paralyzed, but bring Electabuzz down to 10 thanks to a full heal. I'm paralyzed yet again, and now Isaac summons the Tornado of Justice to electrocute my poor Seal. Seal goes down to 10, but I just retreat for Jynx to knock out Electabuzz. 3 prizes left. In comes Magnemite, and he does something weird here. He puts down a double colorless energy on Magnemite just to use self-destruct? What? Why? Anyway, Magnemite absolutely explodes, which takes me back to my Golem days. Jynx gets hit for 40 and everybody gets hit for 10. Pieces of magnets everywhere. This does, of course, knock out my Seal and my Mysterious Fossil, so I'm now only left with Jynx with a 20 HP. It's not looking good. Kangaskhan comes back, who I still can't hit, but I use up a Super Potion to negate that Magnemite self-destruct. I do have a Professor Oak, but I would lose 8 energies in the process, so I really have to mean it. Although, yeah, I'm getting nowhere with Jynx now, so I gotta do it. I flash the deuces to all those energies for 7 new cards. But oddly enough, no new Pokemon, just 2 Mysterious Fossils which are literally there for stalling. I do have an item finder which brings a trainer card back from the dead, so I use that and opt for a Bill instead of another Professor Oak. The old man may get me to run out of a deck, so I gotta be careful. But Bill gives me a Professor Oak anyway, as well as an Articuno. There we go. Time to power up my Freezy Bird. I also draw my Shelter from some security, but my deck is getting low fast, so I can't waste much time. I retreat Jynx and start to freeze dry Kangaskhan. He uses 2 potions to heal it back all the way. Ugh. I use a Pokeball to get Cloyster just in case. I use freeze dry again and he heals Kangaskhan again. You know, for a Pokemon that I typically want my opponents to leave in as much as possible, I can't seem to get rid of it this time. All he's using is Fetch, but my deck is still lower than his, so it's not even helping me. I drop Kangaskhan to 20, Isaac slaps a Defender on it, and oh my god, just die. I actually use a Computer Search, which I still think is a pretty cheap card, and may ban it in future challenges, just to get a Water Energy to finally utilize Blizzard. But first, I use my final Gust of Wind to let his new Magneton take the hit. Boom, Frozen Steel for days. 1 prize left, but dude is out of tricks. He just drags in Voltorb, who can't stop Articuno, giving me the Lightning Medal. Well, yeah, those clubs were all really easy. I literally lost 1 major battle, and that was to Fighting Leader Mitch of all battles. Only the Grandmasters and Derpy Ronald remain, and then I can finally go enjoy a nice holiday dinner with some friends I invited. I'm making gingerbread mantinis. First up, of course, is Courtney. This shouldn't be a problem for once, since her Fire Mons don't stand much of a chance. It'll be Zappy Steve that could bring the hurt. I start off with just a Seal against her Growlithe. I do have a Computer Search, so I use that to get my Dewgong, and it's not here. Oh, yeah, Dewgong is a prize. Well, I guess I'll opt for Articuno. What a downgrade! And I know, this is starting to get a little too easy now, but maybe I need an easy challenge to counter that Fury Swipes garbage I put up with. But as expected, Articuno simply runs the table yet again, defeating her Ninetales, Moltres, and her Magmar army. Magmarmy. I knew this would be easy though, so let's see how it goes against Steve. I lead off with Jynx against his Voltorb. This could be worse as Jynx is not weak to lightning. I deal 10 to Voltorb and check this out. He plays the Zapdos with the Pokemon power that deals 30 at random. His Voltorb ended up getting the shock of a lifetime. Well, that was an easy prize, but then he brings in Eevee, who I can't hit, so that's cool. Eevee quick attacks for 30, so I unload my 2 potions to have that sweet old man give me a new hand. But all I get out of it is a Shelter, so now I have 2 that can't even hit Eevee. I get hit again for 30, so I gotta do something quick. I decide to scoop up Jynx, as I may need her later in the match. Steve now gets a scary Electrode, but I draw a Gust of Wind. I think it's time to leave Zapdos in for a while until I can do something. Steve adds an energy to Zapdos, but I say no thanks. I'm not hungry. Check please. Game, set, and match. Yeah, I just remove the energy and keep stalling. I use another Professor Oak and bam, there it is. Time for some Articuno on Zapdos action. Just not yet. I need to add energies first. I also draw Lapras, so I'm looking solid now. So for now, it's time to bring in Jynx. I'm doing my best to hit Zapdos, but he keeps using potions. I'm not really sure why, as he's not even trying to get Zapdos ready to attack. I take a risk here, and instead of knocking out Zapdos, I want to start to deal damage to one of his that can actually attack. I blow Zap away for Electrode and begin to meditate. Electrode slams my Jynx with a plus-powered Sonic Boom, so unfortunately Jynx will not be making this out alive. You did well, my creepy lady friend. Time to run this house with Articuno. Electrode, dead as heck. In comes Jolteon, who hits me with a 30 quick attack. I use Freeze Dry, but I don't paralyze it. Jolteon hits me again for 30, and Articuno's down to 10. I draw a Seal and use Computer Search to get Dewgong. I use Blizzard to ice up his Jolteon and hurt all of his bench. But it's a sad day. Eevee deals the final blow on Articuno.
My freezy bird, no.
This is the first time my Articuno has ever been knocked out. You've done very well, Legendary Bird concocted device. I bring in Seal, which is maybe too early. Probably should have been Lapras first. But I use a Gust of Wind to bring Zapdos back, now on the IL. Dewgong knocks it out with Aurora Beam. No problem though. 2 prizes left and Dewgong is at full health. He brings in Voltorb, becoming Electrode, and Sonic Booms me. I go for Ice Beam with no paralysis luck. Well, this went south fast. Dewgong is already down to 20 just like that. I heal up and deal the final blow to Electrode. 1 prize left, but it's Electabuzz, who Thunder Punches Dewgong like Ivan Drago on Apollo Creed. Yeah, this is bad. Thunder Punch could one-shot Lapras, which leaves me with only Shelter and a Mysterious Fossil. I use a Gust of Wind to bring in a powerless Eevee and go for Confuse Ray. Success! Eevee became so confused that it didn't even know where— oh, he uses a switch and annihilates Lapras in 1 hit. I'm almost out of cards in my deck, and my only hope now is to draw Cloyster, my last Pokemon. 4 cards left in my deck, and I draw plus power. Where are you, Cloyster? My last fossil goes down, so I have to draw it here or else it's over. And look at that, I actually do. Here's the scenario though. Cloyster is extremely unreliable, as I said.